Take two. Welcome everybody to Own Your Lane Live. This is Michelle Griffin, and I'm delighted you're here. And I'm going to be honest, we were just broadcasting the show thinking it was live, but there was a little glitch. So you missed the video, you missed everything, but we're delighted you're here. And all the way from the UK on her birthday, I'm delighted to welcome communications and PR expert Antonia Taylor. Welcome and happy birthday.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you again. You and I connected a couple months ago because you you researched and wrote this incredible white paper, which is really a mini book in itself. Can you hold it up? It's called Being Seen.
Yeah. So women leadership and visibility at work.
It is incredible. And when I started researching what you're doing and reading it, I was like, I've got to know you. I interviewed you on the podcast a couple months ago, and that's coming soon to Own Your Lane. But today we want to get into the new rules of visibility as a woman in business and leadership that you really need to know in 2026. So Antonia, when you're writing this book, what actually led you? And you notice I call it a book because I hope it becomes a book one day.
That's the plan, Michelle. I just need to get my act together. But it's my big goal. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love it. Well, listen, you saw a problem being in PR. We see problems, we see trends, and you decided, hey, I'm going to write about it. Tell us the backstory.
Yeah, thank you. So as you know, I'm in PR. We are very much trained to spot trends. We're about, taking this out to the media. One of the things I've noticed about sort of a couple of years after the pandemic was the way that I felt that women in leadership, our peers, our colleagues, our friends, I just felt that increasingly women's stories, women's presence was being marginalized. From being on LinkedIn, an observation, or I understood what was going on in workplaces as well. A lot of things around proximity bias, and I guess like the massive trend towards remote working potentially didn't always support women's careers in terms of velocity, trajectory, etc. And while this is observational, pretty soon the data also started tracking, and we've got all the stats about the World Economic Forum reforecasting gender parity. I think they've put it back to 123 years, gender pay parity. I'm sorry. So that means my daughter's 17. My granddaughter might not see. My granddaughter not yet born will not see gender pay parity. There was a very important report here in the UK last year, the Lovelace report, that actually found that women exiting the workforce was costing UK tech upwards of 2 billion. UK, like pound sterling alone. And then we were talking in December about the McKinsey report as well, and how they'd identified an ambition gap and how corporate America was actually in reverse in terms of women's progress as well. So all this combines, and it's just like, well, how then, with all these systems in place, and how can we actually ask women to build personal brands, to be visible when all these systems are at play? And, the big thing that I wanted to make sure that Being Seen focused on was to be very clear that this is not a women's problem. This is not a problem, another problem for women to create a workaround on or to fix themselves. It is systemic, and we have to look at systems at play. And also as individuals, so there's a collective issue, and then also as women in leadership, what our opportunities are, and also what our responsibility is as well, to some extent, to drive visibility for women.
Absolutely. And you did a strong case for that in the book, and we'll link in the show notes so people can go and download it. And when the podcast episode comes out where you really get into it, we'll link back to that. But today I said, Antonio, you and I are both on a vision and a mission really to help our women be visible, and kind of in different lanes, and I was like, you know what, because I've been in my AI visibility guide called Recognition Ready AI is coming out in just a few days. And I knew rewriting it for 6 months, researching it like your Being Seen paper. I'm like, you know what, there's new things coming up. The world is changing in corporate and everywhere. So I wanted to have this show and invite you to really go through, I say, the 6 rules of visibility for 2026, the new rules, right? And when Antonia was telling me before we went live hers, and then I shared mine, I'm like, oh, this is perfect. So I think let's just go ahead and dissect this in our short time, because I think this is going to really help women take notes and take action and put
I
themselves
hope
out
so.
there with
Yeah,
the
I hope so. And I think, you're speaking to AI and algorithms, and I think I spoke about this towards the end of last year, but when I was doing the research, so obviously in terms of the research, I spoke to 8 senior women who have built very authentic, very, I would say, conscious styles of visibility and leadership. And not one of them is like a content creator by, they're all industry experts, culture makers, leaders in their field. The visibility is a byproduct of what they do almost, but they have cultivated that, they have invested in that, they have shaped that. It's been very, very intentional. And we did look at, the barriers to women's visibility, and we covered everything from, and, we've talked about, the paradox of visibility as well, that massive sort of conundrum, I guess, that women have. If you stay beneath that sort of visibility line, you'll get overlooked at work, you miss career opportunities, etc. But if you step above it, then you face a backlash as well, because you're seen to be too self-promotional, etc. So we are sort of like trying to dance that line, I would say, the barriers. But one of the barriers I didn't come up against was the LinkedIn algorithm as well. So so that was a massive thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you said, what your AI guide is going to say, and about how that supports women's voices.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Because the women I serve too aren't trying to be influencers, content creators. They're simply using their brilliance, experience, and wanting to put themselves out there. And like I say, for service-based visibility, to make their contributions help someone else, which in turn, you got to get out there. And I've dealt with it too. I know what it's like to feel stuck and, stagnant, hidden, held back by my own chains, and I don't want anyone else to feel that way. And I know you do too, the women you researched as well. So let's get into it. Let's just do this. I'm trying to think the best way to share these. I don't know if we should do one of yours and one of mine. Let's do that and mix it up. I think that would be fun.
Tennis. Let's do tennis tips.
Ping pong, tennis each other, serve it back. So
let's go.
All right. I love action taking lists and all this. So let's do number one on your research and whatever you think. What is your saying? Your number one rules of visibility.
So this, I have to say, has been developed post-research, and I have just been leading a 5-week visibility challenge, like across Substack, LinkedIn, and on Instagram, and it really emerged sort of like as I was sort of like reviewing everything that came out of the launch of Being Seen, and it's really that it's quite obvious, but it's that visibility starts with how we see ourselves.
Yes.
And I would really encourage everyone that is looking to, and look, we speak to women every day that are like, God, 2026 is the year that I'm going to become more visible. And then the action doesn't always, and they just like the action. So I really believe that there's almost that internal barrier that does hold us back. And I would encourage everyone, as your first step, to build out a visibility practice would be to interrogate that. So really understand, how get clarity on, how you want to be visible, why you want to be visible, who you want to be visible as, and then step into that identity, because I think that's really where that's what will propel you forward. That will help you embody the behaviors of a woman that has embedded visibility into her leadership. And I think that would also make it sustainable, because we don't need a content plan. We don't need more willpower. We need to understand visibility better and what that means for us in terms of our work.
I love that. So that really goes over to my side. Now, what I'm going to say, my rule is clarity. Okay. Be clear. And you are hitting the internal clarity, the mindset issues. It really goes into my recognition roadmap that helps you put yourself out there. But it's in clarity in who you are, where you want to go, why that matters, who you're here for. Have like a know your unique way of seeing it. In the age of AI, we need to have some unique content, and information is a commodity. But your lived experiences, contributions, the way you see it's going to really impact others. So be truly clear. And that really works for AI too, because it needs like one lane you're in. So it's not confused, vague, fuzzy, or mixed signals. So love it. Internal clarity and kind of external, how you want to show up in the world externally too. So that's one and two. I love it.
They're all flowing. Anyone would have thought we'd be prepared these earlier, Michelle,
No,
honestly.
it just flows so naturally.
Yeah. So this actually comes from being seen. A number of my contributors highlighted this point in terms of like what the takeaways were from building a visibility practice. And it was really about how you nurture yourself, visibility, be mindful about how you want to sustain your leadership presence. And I guess that is that, what are you also, because obviously visibility it's a two-way thing, right? It's about community, it's about connection. It's not like you're not visible in one day. It's a relationship.
Yes.
So it's really about how you think about what you're consuming as much as possible. So one of my wonderful contributors, Nikki Regazzoni, she's a founder of the PR Network here in the UK. It's a global organization now. But she said that she's always thinking about their own PR, and like she'll go for a walk and listen to a podcast, and then she'll be like, okay, well, how can this become a LinkedIn post, for example? Or sharing reports, sharing books. It's about how everything that you kind of like weave those elements of your life and those enriching resources, and in many ways you're then sort of like sharing that back to your community. You're contributing in a deeper way. And again, Claire Williams, who's the CPO at Cypher and the founder of the F Suite, her thing was very much about how she embeds visibility in her day-to-day. She'll take out something, she'll follow up a meeting, she'll celebrate a team member who's been promoted. It's just about that sort of like consciousness of actually this is going on in my world and it will help someone. I have something to offer. So I would say that. So nurture yourself for visibility.
I love that. That's number 3. And that really goes in line with my view on service-based visibility. But I guess, are we already on number 4? Yeah. Wow. My number 4 is, and this really aligns with that guide that I'm bringing out, is be credible. Now, we are credible. We're brilliant at what we do. We have expertise. But we can talk all day and share it. But when we have others validate it, that just even lifts us more. And so, to your point, and that's an extension of you, saying, doing all these things, contributing LinkedIn and having other people possibly invite you or write about you or whatever, that just signals that, wow, she's got amazing experience. These are signals that other people validate you too. And that just helps your visibility amplify. So it's really taking your visibility and your knowledge out there, very hand in hand parallel with what you're saying. So third party people can start referencing it and referring it. So I love that very much.
As someone who's got 25 years in PR, I'm not going to challenge that third party endorsement or the value of it.
Yeah. And now more than ever, the gatekeepers are open, right? We can have so many avenues and channels where we can make this happen. And so, we can get into that more, but just high level, that is number 4, be credible, be proven like you already are, but let everybody else validate that. Okay. I can't believe we're already coming to rule number 5. This is just flowing so fast, but I love it. So what's your rule there?
So I guess, I know this one, the third one I want to share was to find your place of power. And again, this really was very, clear as an emerging tip or framework, I guess, coming out of being seen, because I think this ties back to like the clarity piece that we both talked about in terms of like internal and external clarity. I am never going to be someone that makes an Instagram reels jumping around, throwing things and doing fancy edits. It's just not who I am. I am going to write a Substack that I really, really care about consistently and lead in that way. I am going to go onto LinkedIn because I feel confident there. I have a very supportive, lovely community that I've grown over the years. And I know it works for me. So I would really encourage everyone to find their place of power, because I think that, again, is how you develop a sustainable visibility practice. Because, and it's not to say like, look, if you want to dip your toe into TikTok or whatever, go ahead, be my guest. But I just think it becomes so much easier and the scaffolding is much stronger if you are using a channel that you feel really comfortable with, and a channel that nurtures you back as well.
I love that, because we can't be something we're not. Right?
Yeah, it's more authentic. It's more authentic.
Yeah.
It's more authentic. Yeah.
And and step out in a way that doesn't light us up or feels right. You
True.
can't force it. It is,
Great.
I always say, does this light you up? Is the work light you up? And the way you're getting out there light you
Yeah.
up? So that is such a perfect
Yeah.
parallel to my number 3 is continuity, is be continuous, be present. And I'm guilty of this too, because there have been times I have been like all over the place, and then I start overthinking or I get busy, and then I kind of step out a little bit, and I want to be more consistent this year. I let other projects take over. So it's being consistently present. It doesn't make anyone's life better when we have this brilliance and gifts and transformation we can share and want to put it out there. And then we come back every now and then. Like, you're helping these people, right? You're helping yourself too, and you're helping these people. So we continuously get out there. Now, like you said, I don't need to have elaborate things. I don't need to do all these videos. What serves you and your audience best is the way on your timeline, but just continue whatever those steps are. So be present, because we look to the people we see top of mind that way as well.
I love that.
So, wow, we just went through 6 rules of visibility, the new rules of visibility for 2026. And I'll put these back in the show notes for all those who are scrambling to write these down. But I wanted to at least get through these because I think there's such doable, I wouldn't say rules, I just say things that have shifted. But I mean, how do you feel now that you've heard all 6? I feel like we've got a good blend of internal, external, motivational, actionable.
Yeah, I think you could take this, and I think you could start now. You don't even have to start tomorrow. You could take one thing, start with a clarity practice. It's like, and also like make it meaningful, tie it into what you're doing in your work. Just grab your notebook and just go for it. Have a little scribble, have a little journal, think it through. And then I think it's pretty foundational as well. And it's all about, look, also, I mean, one of the rules that we haven't talked about in here was, start small. And we talked about this, but start. Don't maybe go and like set yourself up a YouTube channel, but say, okay, I am going to commit to Michelle's point. I am going to commit to a continuous practice of one LinkedIn post, even if you start at a fortnight and you build up your cadence. But it is doable. And I think, having that accountability is really key. And like we said, well, maybe I said it, you didn't say it, but you don't really need a content plan. You just need to have these stakes in the ground. This is who I am. This is how I show up. This is my visibility practice, and this is what I commit to. And you just tick it off like every week. You tick, it's that simple. It's really not rocket science.
But yet we try to make it. If you're a perfectionist like me, or if you're a permission seeker like me, you have permission, and you don't have to be a perfectionist, because I've done that, and I've sat and watched the world fly by. I've watched opportunities fly by. I watched someone else who's doing something. I want to get out there.
We've all done that. Yeah. And also we've probably seen, we've probably all had, speaking from the female experience, again, like been in situations where we've passed opportunities up intentionally because we didn't feel ready, my logo's not quite right at the moment. Oh, I need to update my website and then I'll go out into the world. No, none of that. It's just about you showing up. And like you say, people want your voice. They want your human experience, your lived perspective, your lived experience and your perspective. They don't want another shiny logo.
No, and they don't need content. They can get it from any ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. That's not, the how-to's over. I mean, your how-to, way you see it, you do it, is not over, but just generic stuff. So we have to be more personalized and authentic.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to say, of the 6 rules, I think if we bridge it over start small, I think that gives everyone the permission. We're giving you permission right now. Like, we totally want to see you out there. In fact, if you're listening to this live and replay, tell us in the comments, what are you going to do in one of these first steps?
Yeah,
if you're sitting on the sideline, been there myself for 9 months in 2020 to want to post to LinkedIn. I know it's like, tell us one little thing you'll do today. And that's power, guys. And then the answers come when you take action. The answers come when you take action, no matter how small. I promise you're going to meet someone. Something's just going to click for you.
And momentum you build, and also like you, and again, like you watch what happens. You see what people are asking for, and then that becomes a new opportunity to contribute as well. I see. I get a lot of stuff from like sales calls. What people ask for. I'm just like, wait a second. 3 companies with similar profiles are asking for the exact same visibility training. The same elements of it. It's just like, well, there's something there, right? That's powerful.
That's powerful, but had you not put yourself out there or talked about it, and let's talk about, we're not gonna get into the LinkedIn algorithm now. We know it is just, a whole different ballgame, but I just wanna remind you, there's still a billion plus people. People see you, even though they don't post, they see you or they'll check you out
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
So having something, I'm not saying you have to go post all the time either. And maybe you're like want to go on Instagram. Like we love LinkedIn or Substack or YouTube, whatever you feel comfortable with. Like don't feel like you have to just do it because everyone else is doing it, right? It's what works for you. I think that was one of the biggest lessons I learned in my business. Doing work that didn't light me up or the way I delivered it or a channel or place that didn't light me up just because it was the thing to do. And I think that's what really makes us not fulfill our true potential when we're just trying to fit into where we're not meant to fit in or belong at that moment.
Yeah, and like you said, and then that's when it becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy of like, this isn't working. I'm not, why should I stay here? I feel like I'm wasting my time. And then you're just like, that's when you exit, and you just like, if you find like, I mean, that goes back to the point of like finding your place of power, doesn't it? So, yeah.
I love that. And I love that you're doing a visibility challenge. And I think I'm always listen, and I love to help women just become visible. So if I see women in the feed, I'm always shouting them out because it's just such a pay it forward thing, and I just absolutely love it.
I agree. I actually
Yeah.
delivered a masterclass on Thursday and this came up, and I was just like, just if you do one thing, just support, because also like we all know what it's like to for example, put a post out on LinkedIn and just like, oh my God, it's got 4 likes. What is going on? I spent, what's going on? It takes very little effort to like or comment or contribute back, and that spirit of reciprocity is really, really powerful as well. So again, one small action that everyone can do after this is to go and find a female leader or colleague or peer, whatever, someone that you want to connect with and support something that they've done, because that would have demanded of them what we're asking people to do here as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you're listening on live and replay, we thank you for being here. But one of the things to be visible, if you are comfortable and your job or time constraints, chat and put something there that you're looking or you're interested in this thing or whatever. You just never know. I can attest you never know who you meet in the comments, because 5+ years ago I met my co-author of the LinkedIn branding book in the show on a comment. So you just never know. You just never know.
I love that.
Yeah, you absolutely do. So as we wrap up today, Antonio, and as your birthday, we want to let you go celebrate tonight
you.
as you are in the UK outside of
Yeah.
London. I just want to thank you for being seen. We're going to put a link to all her stuff and stay in her podcast so you can really digest it. Let's give one takeaway. We've already said a lot, but if you're starting from scratch or just starting over or just getting back into it, with all your research with being seen, what is the one thing you would recommend for women to stay with this year so they can do their work they're meant to do for whatever their goals are?
I mean, building on what we've talked about, I would also think about, contribution. And again, I know that, think like this International Women's Day, for example, the theme is give to gain. And when I posted about that, a lot of women were like, oh my God, so we're being asked to give more. But I think also if you reframe visibility as contribution and its leadership, it's like you say, it's paying it forward. It's, I think also as a leader, like, it's about sort of like who's coming through.
Yes.
I was just talking to my daughter about her LinkedIn profile, and she's like, well, I'm never going to use it. It's like, well, babe, you are going to use it. So, it's just about how you set that example as well. And like, we've talked about, like, if I put one post out and it didn't really get the response, or 7 people liked it, but one of those 7 people would have been like, like with my visibility challenge, someone said, oh, I've had to withdraw, I had to take some time out of my business, I had massive anxiety issues, but your challenge has really helped me reframe, reset, recalibrate. So, and like, this is someone who hasn't liked a single post or Substack that I've put out or shared anything. I didn't know that she was paying attention, but it really helped her.
I love that. It's contribution. I'm going to second that as we close out today. So tell us real quick, where can people find your guide and all the things about you, Antonia?
Well, here obviously on LinkedIn, I'm at antoniataylorpr.com, and there's a link download to the full the many pages of being seen. I was trying to remember how many pages it is, but I forgot. And then also I am on Instagram at Antonia Taylor PR.
I love it. Well, thank you for being here today. And thank you all for muddling through our tech issues as our live didn't take off and my video new graphics didn't take, but that's okay. We'll hit those next month. But I want to thank you. And the Own Your Lane podcast is rebooting later this week, along with my Recognition Ready AI guide. So please stay tuned for that. And I want to ask if you have a comment, a question, or anything for us today, please put it in the chat. We'll come back, tag us, and we'll come back and answer your questions. Because as we said today, we want to put ourselves out there for contribution to share our expertise in the hope that you will too, because we all have gifts, brilliance, and expertise that can make a tremendous difference to someone out there. But first, they have to see you, right? And we're here to help you get recognized. So with that being said, thank you all for joining us. If you're on Team Replay, put it in the chat as well. And I'll be back next month with another Own Your Lane Live. So until then, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. We'll catch you next time. Take care. Hang on, I got to get the video.